I am so happy to be here. I love this idea. I'm embarrassed to say I'd never heard of it, but since Doug invited me, I mentioned it to friends, and virtually all of them have. So clearly, I am the uncool kid in the room. I'm going to make sure I get this right. Yay! So Nomads. I love this idea. Even as a child, I thought it was so romantic to hear about people. I always think of people roaming the desert, carrying everything they owned on their camel and going from place to place. Such a romantic and wonderful idea. Actors do have a very nomadic existence, going from job to job, going from city to city. And I'm just going to talk to you a little bit this morning about what it's like, a day in the life, or more than that. I'm 64. I've been a professional actor all my life. Give you a little insight of what it's like. The lovely things about the nomadic lifestyle and the challenges about it as well. So one of the big perks is travel. You get to go from place to place. I have been very lucky to be able to work in theaters across the country, mostly on the East Coast. I think the furthest west I've actually worked is Kansas City, but up and down from, upper New York down to Florida. My favorite travel job with work, I was lucky enough to work with a murder mystery company, and we did murder mysteries on boats going up and down the Nile in Egypt. So I literally did get on a camel once during our downtime, and I got to travel around the pyramids on a little camel. It was extraordinary and fun and wonderful, and I would never have gotten the chance to do that without my acting gig. It's taken me many wonderful places. Thoroughly love that. Thoroughly enjoy it. The downside is, just so you know, I do a lot of stage work. A lot of stage work. So when you have these jobs, the typical stretch for doing regional theater is about an 8-week contract. So the nice thing is you get to visit. The bad thing is you've got to pack up and be gone for 8-week stretches. And many actors I know, if you're working a lot, you're out at least half the year, if not more than that. If you're really successful, you're more than that, but you're away from home. So I always like to bring a little bit of home with me so I can feel safe, so I can feel like I feathered my nest, so I can feel comfortable. Actor housing, think dorm room, in a frat house. Some of the theaters are nicer, and sometimes you enter one of those and there's nice furniture that matches. Sometimes it's all stuff left over from a show. Sometimes there's artwork. Sometimes there's nothing. You never know what you're going to get. Technically, they have to have knives and forks and 4 plates and 4 glasses for you. It's in your contract. But they don't have to match, and the knives don't have to be very sharp. So I always had 3 boxes that I brought with me that I kept packed that helped me feel at home wherever I went. And I know many actors who do this. They have that, this is my travel thing, this is what I need. This makes me feel comfortable wherever I am, right? So I'm going to just challenge you. Reach over to the person next to you and say, if you had only 3 boxes, what would you bring with you for if you're going to be gone for 8 weeks? What would make you feel at home? Would it be cutlery? Are you a foodie? Is it spices? Is it electronics? Is it artwork? Is it family photographs? Whatever it is. Just turn to the person next to you. I'll give you 2 minutes and think about what would you bring that make you feel, hey, this makes me feel safe, makes me feel like I'm at home, even though I'm away. Off you go. I think it's really interesting, and one of the nice things of when you go from place to place, you arrive and you put your boxes down and you never know, you open the door and you think, is this going to be rough 8 weeks or is this going to be lovely? I worked at, I shouldn't say the theater, somewhere out in a lovely theater, like the equivalent of our Playhouse. And I worked there 3 years in a row. And the first year I was there, I'm going to just say it, it was room C3. Every time you opened the door, you could smell cat urine. Oh. And I'm like, oh no! And so it was kind of ratty. And the third year, they sent me my information, and they said, in your room C3, and I thought, oh no! And I called my friend, I'm in the cat pee room! And then I got there and opened the door, and they, like, changing places. They renovated everything, and it was so swank. And it was all like a tropical theme, and everything was new, and it was like, oh! But you never know. And I have actor friends who travel incredibly light. I have a friend named Polly Lee. She's a Brit. She's traveled all over the world. She has a suitcase that's like this big. That's all she brings. She wears black jeans and black t-shirts and 7 pairs of underwear, you know. She travels super light. I have another friend, Colette, who has put it into her contract. She gets 12 boxes. And when you go, I've worked with her in different cities, and when you open the door, it always looks like her living room because she's brought her whole thing. Just figure out what works for you, what makes you feel safe, what makes you feel comfortable. Kind of an interesting thing. And I love observing what actors bring with them to make them feel I'm at home or I'm taken care of wherever I am. So that's one. Good things, bad things, traveling and making yourself at home. The other wonderful thing I think about being an actor is you are nomadic in who you are from job to job. This is just a range of some of the different things I've been able to do in my career, different looks. I love being in a show. I love a period piece. I don't even mind if I'm in a corset. I love being able to dress up as something completely different for me. I find just the physicality of it great and interesting, and seeing how all the costume people have interpreted things. But also I love living in this character's world for those 8 weeks. And it's remarkably creative, and sometimes it's something very close to you, and that can be, but it's coming at it at a different angle, so you're like, oh, it makes me think about my life in a different way. What if, someone about my age, about my whatever, but what if I'd had 5 kids, as opposed to, I don't have any children at all. Sometimes it's at a different time period. Sometimes it's a completely imaginary world, and you get to kind of play and create. People always ask, how do you prepare for a show? Sometimes you need to do research, and you want to learn as much as you can about a time period or a certain job. I did a show about being a social worker, and it was really interesting and amazing. We met with social workers. I did a lot of research. There's someone, Tori has been this, you usually have a dramaturg who is assigned to each production, if larger theaters can afford this, and they do a lot of general research about the play, all the specifics of it, and they share that with actors. But we like to go off and do our own as well. Sometimes you've got to just live in your imagination, right? And I keep a journal, and I just write. When was I born? What was my childhood like? Well, some shows seem to need that, and I do that. Other shows don't. I've been lucky enough to go learn different trades. We once did a play here, actually. It was called Package Deal, and they worked in a candy factory. So I went to a local candy factory here. We were on the line, like, for 4 hours, putting things together. We were putting together Easter eggs filled with candy. And I thought I was going to hate it, but I was like, totally. I listen to my music and get in my zone. And my little Virgo soul loved packaging things. Of course, I did it for 4 hours. I did it day in, day out. But it was just like an insight into a world I've never experienced. Although my favorite, again, I was doing a show here called about Amelia Earhart. And one of the board members got me a free flying lesson. So I went up in an airplane, a 2-seater Cessna, just me and my trainer. We flew all around the city, and by the end of your lesson, I landed the plane. And it was life-changing. I mean, I've been up in an airplane, but being up in a small one and being in the front is really different. And just where all the mechanics of it were, and understanding for Amelia Earhart how she would get, for her, it was an escape. Because it's noisy in that plane, but also it's just, the world goes away and you're just up there. It's exquisite. The clouds, the play of light, seeing the world from a totally different angle. It was life-changing. It was also interesting to me how, people said, was she a good pilot or was she not a good pilot? Because she was so famous, she didn't get to fly as much as you like. And when you're up there as a driver, your instinct when something goes wrong to hit the brakes, not the right thing to do in an airplane. So it was, again, that gave me great insight into, how her constant, like, I need to be up there, I need to be doing it more, because I've been sidetracked trying to raise money to take, sponsor my trips. It's just fascinating. But that's I would never have thought to take a flying lesson my own, but having an acting job gave me insight into what it was like to be a pilot, and I got to live in that world just a little bit. Love that about my job. That's an upside. The downside is sometimes you're doing something incredibly depressing. These are just two of the things I found really hard to do shows. One, it was called Good People, and I played a woman who had a child who was severely disabled and nonverbal. They were very poor. She was just hanging on by her fingernails, trying to navigate the welfare system. And it was a very stressful show to be in. And that, sometimes you get one like that. This other one, the picture's so terrible, but I did Steel Magnolias. Your daughter dies every night, right? And also, I love to make this clear about actors. We don't pretend something's happening. We're not pretend crying or pretend angry. We're trained so we are actually feeling those feelings. The best definition of acting is, and for good actors, is you're living authentically in imaginary circumstances. So you're feeling all the feels. You're having all the ups, the downs, the traumas, the rage, the whatever, but it's just an imaginary circumstance. But that lives in your body. And believe me, actually, once the show opens, it's easier because you're only doing it, it's 3 hours. But in rehearsal, it's an 8-hour day of, and trust me, every actor goes home and you think about it when you get home. If you're not just running your lines, it stays with you. So we have to find ways to protect ourselves when we go from character to character to character. And I'm going to show you a little thing called a step out, to step out of emotion. This comes from a field of study called Alba emoting, that Susan Block, who is a I have to read it all the time. She's a neuropsychologist. I always say the wrong thing. She did some study, advanced work on studies that even Darwin first identified, that there are 6 pure emotional states. And each one of them has a corresponding facial expression, breath pattern, and body position. And that these are universal. If you go into any country and you see somebody doing this, they're sad. If they're they're laughing, right? Those are the simple. We know when someone's angry. We know when someone's afraid, right? Interesting enough, she studied this and noticed that emotions, they were trying to this debate. What is an emotion? Does it live in your brain? There's a physical response to every emotion. It starts off a cascade of chemicals releasing through your body. So actors are having that chemical wash of all kinds of emotions while we're working. So she invented a step out, which lets you kind of erase and go to neutral. And in essence, I'm going to show you it right now, or you can do it with me in your chair. You don't have to do anything. So it's going to be a facial expression, breath pattern, and body position that helps your body go to neutral. And when your body physically does that, it shuts off all of those chemicals and keeps them from flooding, right? So the first thing is we carry a lot of this in our face, facial expression. You just gently rub your face, literally concentrating. You carry a lot of tension right here between our eyes or around our eyes, right here into that fold of your nose and around your mouth. And just gently do it. Feels really good, actually. So you literally just wipe some of that tension away. So that deals with the facial expression. We let it go. Then breath pattern. You let your hands kind of hang loose in the front. You can even do this while you're sitting. You don't just stand up. Kind of be careful if you're right. I don't know what's going to hit you. So you hold your hands loosely in front. On an inhale, you bring them up. Let them palms press together, comfortable, as high as you, it doesn't have to be all the way back here. Just lift them up, press the palms together, and bend it behind your head. And then on an exhale, release it. So inhale, lift them up, press them together. Exhale. Do it one more time. Inhale, press them together. And exhale. Okay, that's a breath pattern that gets us to neutral. It doesn't, we usually talk about the problematic emotions are fear and anger and sadness, obviously. That helps get us to neutral. And finally, body position. Interestingly enough, I'll do it first. You're going to turn upside down a little bit because the body, none of these emotions, when you flip it over, your body automatically goes whoop, and hits a reset. So just bending from your waist, turn to your, let's say, left side first, and just let your head, as if your head's heavy. On an exhale, you let yourself collapse. You don't have to go very far. Let your arms dangle. On an inhale, we get right back up. And turn to the other side. And again, on an exhale, just heavy head, just let your body relax. Don't you go far. Let your arms dangle. Come back up. Really simple. It's very relaxing. I do it sometimes throughout the day, but even if you're sitting at your desk, I don't know about you, but suddenly I'm like, why are my shoulders up here? It just hits neutral and helps us all. I know actors carry this around, but so do accountants, so do lawyers, so do doctors, so do everybody out there relates to this. It's just a nice little way to relax your body. So my gift to you, when you're feeling when you see this, or when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're doing this, maybe I'm carrying something. It's a nice thing to do this little step out. So that's very fun. All right. The other downside of a nomadic existence as an actor is we're constantly, in essence, getting fired. 8 weeks and the job is over. I did have one friend who was in the company on Broadway in 42nd Street for 10 years as a dancer, but that's virtually unheard of. Now, if you're out on tour, a Broadway tour, which is one of the great jobs, they're out for a year, maybe 2. Some of the Broadway shows last long, but, that's the rarity. Most actors are constantly losing one job and looking for another. And as you can imagine, that's stressful. That is a downside to what we do. There's a lot of uncertainty. And I'll give you some statistics. I'm a member of both the Screen Actor Guild, which is the union for actors who do on-camera work, and Actors Equity Association, which is the stage actors union. And here's some very daunting figures. At any given moment, in Screen Actors Guild, about 2% of their actors are actually in front of a camera. Stage, we're slightly better, but we're 4% on any given day are actually on stage. Now, that doesn't mean we're out there, auditioning, doing things, but that's the reality of it. There's a lot of time where you are not doing the thing you love and want to do. So, how do you deal with that? Well, best advice I ever got is you are an actor and, right? And to think of it as, just because I'm not on stage doesn't mean I am not an actor, because I am an actor and. In my career, I am an actor and I teach at the CCM. I teach acting for the camera to the musical theaters department. I am an actor and I was a facilitator at the Xavier Leadership Center. I helped train people who were getting presentation skills, but also interpersonal skills. People always ask actors, how do you memorize all those lines? That's the easy part. It's like, why are you saying it? What is the relationship? What is the personal dynamic? What happens when I say this to you like this, and what happens when I say it to you like that, right? That's what actors are working on in the rehearsal hall, not memorizing the lines. So that's something from my acting life that I get to do in this other life. There's more crossover than you think. I'm an actor and I taught at Hebrew Union. They're closed now, but I taught rabbis how to deliver their sermons. I taught lawyers how to deliver their final summations. All those kinds of things. I have come to, later in life, not when I was younger, think of that as actor and. So when I am not acting on stage or in front of the camera, which I love, 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 I am still an actor. I'm still using my skills as an actor to do all of those things. And all of those things make me a better actor because I'm meeting with lawyers. So when I get cast as a lawyer, I know people. Rabbis. I've also helped train young doctors with their bedside manner. All of those things give me information. I'm also right now, my mother has been, 93-year-old mother has been having all kinds of medical problems, and I'm primarily caregiving for her right now. But I'll tell you, I'm using all of my actor skills doing that. Empathy. What's she going through? So I can help her more. Telling her funny stories to keep her entertained. And all of that experience, that gift I have of working with her is going to make me a better actor as well. What makes learning more about human beings makes me a better actor. So all of these actor and things I'm doing still keep me, I'm still a creative actor, even though I'm not in front of a camera up on stage. And I'm sure you've experienced this as well. The person who goes to their job and does one thing for their whole career is a thing of the past. We are constantly recreating who we are, and that we are not defined by our job. And that, I think, is a really healthy thing to think about. Like, who am I? I do this, but I am a mom, and I am a wife, and or a husband, and or a partner, and that how we should be able to see ourselves in many different ways, because we're going to have to be many different things throughout our lives. So that can be a plus that I've learned. And finally, well, yes, I do all those ands, and I love many of them. My favorite is being up on stage or in front of the camera telling stories. And I think, when I think of nomads, these are people who are traveling all around the country, all around the globe, and they share their stories with whoever they encounter along the way. I think there's something really wonderful about that, and really important and powerful about that. And I do feel sometimes I do jobs that are silly, and I will say I used to work for a murder mystery company, and we were ridiculous and clowny, and one of our actors was always in drag, and so he would say, "Could you come to my house and shave that spot in my back because I can't reach it?" And I was there, it was like a Saturday morning, and I was shaving. I was like, "Oh my God, this is my job! No, this isn't why I went to acting school. What's happening?" And that very next day, we were there for the weekend. Sunday was over. End of the show, packing up, and I was in the elevator, and I ran into two women who had come to see the show. And one of the women turned to me and said, "Oh, I can't thank you enough. My husband passed away 6 months ago, and I needed a good laugh." That's important too. Just making people laugh, letting people escape for a little while, that's important. So all those kinds of things are important and help us all. But for me, the most important thing is that I think we are desperate to be more empathetic with each other, now more than ever. And I do think good theater does that. It puts you in somebody else's shoes and lets you imagine what it would be like in a situation that maybe you're not familiar with. Or somebody who's living a life that you don't really approve of, that suddenly once you hear their story, you're more likely to at least have some insight into them and see them as a human being, not as that evil other. And I think it's really a vital thing that I do that I'm most proud of when I do a show and I hear somebody say, "Oh my God, I can't stop thinking about that." I didn't know that, or I never thought about it, or I never imagined. That to me is gold. That's what I'm the happiest when I hear that after someone's seen a show. So I'm just curious for you guys again. I know we've made a little friend. I'm encouraging you to make another friend and talk to each other about how you've been changed by seeing a performance. Maybe you're not theater goers, so if it's not a performance, maybe it is you're going to a concert or seeing a piece of art in a museum, experiencing that some way that by seeing it, by hearing it, by seeing the show, it created a shift in you. Just take a moment and talk to each other about if that's happened to you and what that was exactly. I'm just going to wrap things up because I'm trying to be timely. I'm a Virgo. I want to obey the rules. The other thing with anybody who has a nomadic existence, we're always looking for that little oasis, the place to refuel, to refill our tank. Sometimes it's a physical place, sometimes it's people. My physical place, one of them is here at Ensemble Theater. I have worked here for over 30 years. This is their 40th season coming up. If you haven't seen a show here, come see one. It's very intimate. It's under 200-seat theater. They do extraordinary work, and I highly recommend. If not here, come, there's The No and Cincy Shakes and Playhouse in the Park and other smaller groups. Support them. They are really up against it with changing funding. So anything we can do to help them, and there is no donation too small. That's what I've heard from everybody. So I hope I can inspire you to reach out and see some of these people. The other place I just have to put a shout out, there's also community is my oasis. I'm on a text chain for Christmas Carol that I've done for 9 years now at Playhouse in the Park. 24 actors in that cast. We text virtually every day. Now, I'm practically in the witness protection program. I am not out there in the socials, but the young people are, and they're sharing, and we support each other. And I'm in a show, and they're all over the country. That's a super support net. And every time I get that ping, I'm like, aw, it gives me a lift. I also was in a production of Steel Magnolias. Those 6 women, we bonded like crazy. That was 3 years ago. Since that, I'm a cancer survivor. One of them lost her husband. The other had a traumatic brain injury. Another lost she and her husband broke up. We are there for each other, even though we aren't in the same city. They are our community. They are my oasis. And I can always, at 2 a.m, I'm like, ah! And I'll get that. I just encourage you, where's your oasis? Who's your community? Who are those people that make you feel safe? And send them a little text today. We all need a little extra love. Thank you all very much.